Hey everyone, I'm Marina from Pineapple Yarn. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here this week to share with you what I have been working on in the past 2 weeks. So I'm sorry I didn't join you last week. It has just been one thing after another in my house, and it has culminated today with the pumping of my septic tank. So hopefully everything has resolved in my life, family things, house things, and hopefully just everything decided to come at once and we're good. We're good from here on out. But everything is fine, hopefully, at this point, and I can continue coming to you every week. So, needless to say, I haven't been doing a ton of knitting, but I'll share what I have been doing. Before I do that, I want to share what I'm wearing today. This is the Good Vibe Shawl by Nadia, Crétin-Léchenne, and I love this shawl so much, and it's a great knit. It uses I think it just used 2 skeins of yarn. One is a variegated and one is a tonal. So you get this really cool effect down here with the increases and decreases. You get these waves. Now in the original, she actually swapped the tonal and the variegated. So the tonal was up here and the variegated was down here. So you really had these waves kind of pop against the variegated. So the variegated would be down here, and then the tonal would actually be the little waves. I really like the variegated as the waves. I think it turned out really pretty, and because they have a lot of contrasting tones, it worked out great. So it's just such a fun crescent shaped shawl. I really liked it too because you're not knitting the entire length of the crescent each time. So if you see, where the tonal starts, you're kind of going at a diagonal, you're increasing, but not going end to end, which is nice because then you don't have, 500 stitches on your needles at one time. This is a great pattern. And I used 2 of my colorways. This is I Heart Beach Glass. It is beautiful, speckly. It has a lot of mint greens. I did not do any kind of color management or, alternating skeins, anything like that. I rarely do that with anything, to be honest. And then the tonal is Pink Hibiscus, and this is a really beautiful, it's a deep colorway as far as my colorways go. It's a deep tonal, but it is just vibrant as well. So it's just a really pretty trio. I could have paired I Heart Beach Glass easily with Bright Mint or Princess, or even like Honeycomb would have been gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But for some reason, this Pink Hibiscus was just calling my name, so I cast it on with these, and I am so happy. I have a like a mint colored dress that I really like this with, but I thought today that it would be pretty with this dress because it has some of the same colors in it, and it's just kind of a easy wear. It's just happy and kind of summery. It's a really nice weight because it uses fingering weight yarn, so it's not too large, and it's just to pull it on and wear it if you're in a coastal area, you have a lot of breezes, if you are in an over air conditioned building, or if it's just a little cooler outside. It's really great. So that is the Good Vibes shawl. Big fan, and it was a really fun project. So what I'm going to share with you right now is the No Frills sweater by PetiteKnit that I started last week. No, last episode I think was the first time I shared it with you. And I haven't made a ton of progress on this, I don't think. This stitch marker might be where I ended last week. But here it is so far. I am so happy with this. I think this is just a beautiful sweater. It's very simple, hence the name Petite or No Frills, and I just think it's turning out so pretty with these stripes. I'm using an undyed merino. This is actually my Lani DK base. So it is a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So it's the same blend as my sock base, and I just love working with it. It's so soft. It's so great. And it's in the colorway Natural, which is just an undyed. And then I'm using the same base, my Lani DK base, in the colorway Cloud 9. And it's this beautiful clear lavender. It's, oh, I just love it. I love it so much. And I had thought for quite a while about making a chunky striped sweater that would be really nice for spring or fall. And this is what I came up with. One thing I really like about the sweater is that the stripes are the natural color stripes. They aren't white, and they're more of like a winter white, which looks better with my skin tone. And so that's why I went first with it, because it would be up against my skin tone. The lavender, it's not really so much the color that flatters my skin tone, but I still love it. So that's why I didn't start with the Cloud 9. I started with the Natural, and I really like it so far. But what I did, I'm using the called for needle size, which is a US, I think it's a 6, which is a 4mm. Yes. So that is the called for needle in the pattern. I'm normally a loose knitter, and I go down a needle size. With petite knit patterns, I don't need to. So I'm using the called for needle, and I am alternating colors every 15 rounds. So I have split for the sleeves. This is a top-down raglan sweater. And it's just very simple. I'm about a little over an inch past the divide, and just really been loving this. One thing I have been concentrating on with this knit is I have been concentrating a lot on the tension of my stitches. I have found, being a loose knitter, I knit continental, which means I hold the yarn in my left hand and I pick up with my needles instead of having my right hand throw the yarn over the needles. And I think, and I could be wrong, but from what I've seen, I think that just, it helps if you're a tight knitter to knit continental. But with me, I don't think I'd be a tight knitter anyway, and I think it just adds to the looseness of how I knit. And so I have to be very mindful about keeping proper tension on my stitches. Now, normally, you know, if you're knitting something variegated like this, it's very forgiving. I love knitting with a variegated yarn, a speckled yarn, because you just don't notice the imperfections of your stitches. But when you're knitting something like this with a tonal yarn, you're going to see every bump. You're just going to see those imperfections more. So I've really been concentrating on keeping my tension nice and even. I think I'm doing a good job. So far so good. Every now and again, I will just stop and look and make sure everything looks good. So it is turning out great. And as far as length, I think I will probably end this at my high hip. It looks the best on me. It works with, everything. Look, it works with dresses. It works with more of a high-waisted pant. It won't be a cropped sweater, like it won't end at my waist, but it will go just past my waist. And I really like that length. So really, as you know, right now I'm just doing stockinette, knitting stockinette, around and around, and I don't think the body will take that long. So that is what I have been working on this week. I'm still on my first skein, so this is how much I have left of the natural, And then I have a little more of the Cloud 9 because I am very close to starting another stripe. So, you know, we'll see how far those skeins take me. They may get me to the end of the body, I'm not really sure. I should also mention that I am knitting the smallest size as well, and I think that that will just give me a nice amount of positive ease. I didn't want the sweater very floppy, very loose, but I definitely wanted some positive ease in the sweater. So that is something I will just keep working on week after week. The next project that I have, I actually cast on recently for it, and it is using a gradient set that I recently had in the shop. So you can see the colors. Oh my goodness, they're so bright and gorgeous. Wow, aren't they so pretty? So unfortunately, I don't have any more of these in the shop. I have been loving dyeing mini skein gradient sets recently, and I will continue to dye them because y'all have really been loving them, and unfortunately I keep selling out of them, and I really try to keep things stocked in the shop and just have enough for everybody and not make it kind of a rush, make my shop updates not so rushed. But these are just yeah, everyone wants these. So this was just, oh, I loved this one so much. And it's a 9 skein gradient set. So let me go ahead and show you what I've knit up so far with this. This is the Dotted Race Shawl by Stephen West, one of my favorite patterns. I think this has got to be at least the 3rd time I have knit this shawl pattern, and I actually restrained myself from knitting it because but I just love it. I love it so much. It's such a good pattern. So here's what it looks like so far, and I am on to skein number 3 out of 9. So I have a ways to go, but it seems like I have done so much, and it really won't seem like that once I get to these longer rows. But as you can see, this first color is just this beautiful, kind of a neon cantaloupe, faded color. And then we went more into like the citrusy, orangey yellows on this color. And now we're just full on into orange. Just a really vibrant, yellowy orange. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know how much I have of number 3, of this 3rd color. You can see where the colors are going on this though. We're definitely still have some of this beautiful kind of like faded orange yellow, and then we're definitely going into the yellows, greens, and turquoise. So it is, oh, isn't that beautiful, all wound up? The way I wound this up is I basically just wind, I kind of know, okay, do I want to start with the turquoise or do I want to start with the neon cantaloupe color? And I definitely wanted this against my skin. So I wound this last. And I started with the turquoise first, and once I wound that on my ball winder, I just added the next color and just tied a slip knot together and then just kept winding on the same cake. And when I get to the knot, I just take it apart. I have been sewing in the ends, I think. I know I did it the first time. Just stopped after I knit a little bit and wove in the ends, and it doesn't look like I did it this time. But I do like doing that, so you don't have to do it at the end. But I just keep doing it. It is so satisfying when you pull this out of your project bag, and it's so beautiful and colorful, and it's just so happy. I love it. I love seeing this. This is just such a great project. So let me go ahead and open it up so you can see how much or how far I am. So here it is so far. It's just a little baby shawl. It's really not that big. But this, if you haven't knit this and you think you might be interested, I totally would. It's such a great pattern and it's well written. So you can see all those eyelets that are in there, and they start, you know, close together here, and then they get further apart the further you go down there. So I think I have made a mistake. I think on the last row I noticed that my eyelets were probably about, you know, one garter bump, which is 2 rows, too far down. And I think what I did, it was last week when there's still a lot going on and I was trying to knit and I wasn't really paying attention. And I think at this point I'm really not reading the pattern. It's it gets very intuitive and I'm just kind of checking back for here and there for stitch counts or whatnot. But I wasn't really checking back, and I think I did 1 row, you know, ends to and from, and it added 1 more garter bump or garter ridge, and it just it made it a little off. I don't care. I'm not taking it out. It's really not. It doesn't really bother me that much. I am going to wear this so much. I'm so excited, and I think it's going to look great with either like this color, you know, these warm colors, but I also kind of pictured it with like a really light clear blue, or I mean even a green. It would look really pretty. Some of those summery colors, it's just going to complement so many different colors, and I'm really excited about it. So this was, I don't think I said the name, this was the Sunwashed Citrus Set. So beautiful. This just, oh, when I had this in my mind and then I dyed it, it was just perfect. It was absolutely what I wanted. So I was very happy about this. And I have had so many people, so many messages about last year's Advent, so the Sea Breeze Advent. I've had so many people message me and ask if I was going to be redyeing it or if I had any extras, and unfortunately I don't. It was a great Advent. It was great colors, but I'm not redyeing it. But I will try to, here in the near future, I will try to put some of those similar colors into the shop. So maybe you can build your own 24-ish skein pattern, or pattern. Ambah O'Brien recently, she's coming out with a pattern that uses my advent calendar from last year, and I was really honored that she did that. She's a beautiful, beautiful designer. It's called the Solstice Wrap, and so if you want to see it all knit up, definitely check out her information. I'll link it below. But it really highlights the Sea Breeze set, and it's just beautiful, really beautiful. So I will try in the future to be putting some more of those colors in the shop, maybe and maybe you can compile a couple of different gradient sets and kind of make your own, hopefully. But I just wanted to mention that because I've received a ton of messages. But anyway, this is Dotted Rays. I'm using a, before I leave this, I'm using a US 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. I think that is a needle size less than what is called for. And so it's just making a really gorgeous, gorgeous fabric with this fingering weight. So that is that. So far, so good. The other thing too with these gradient sets, I don't alternate rows. I don't do anything to make it look more faded. So with some of these color transitions, they will look more color blocked. If you alternated rows, this would look beautiful. Beautiful faded, just melding into each other, look beautiful. I just don't want to do it, so I don't. I just want to knit straight from my cake and not have to think about it. So that's kind of just where I'm at right now, and really enjoying this so much. It's just beautiful. I'm really curious to see how big this ends up. 9 mini skeins that's a lot of yarn, and I could definitely break those up. Not even me, anyone could break those up and maybe pair it with a tonal, pair it with a variegated skein, and just make some really gorgeous creative projects. But that's almost 9 mini skeins. 9 of my mini skeins is almost 2 full skeins of yarn. So that definitely, with the dotted rays, will just be a gorgeous size. So I'm excited to see how that turns out here in the coming weeks. But really, that is all I have been working on. I have not been doing any spinning at all. It's actually been very warm here, and I have found with spinning, I have this kind of like a mental hurdle that I have to overcome, that I always think, oh, it's a process. I have to get everything out. I have to, plug in my electric eel wheel, and on and on. And then once I do it, it's really not a big deal. But I do have my polywog, which I just purchased from Spinolution, and I think I am going to start using that just to use it. It's a great little wheel, but for some reason, spinning is not what I go to in the evenings when I really want to relax, when I'm really just need a breather. I usually just pick up some very easy knitting. I knit a couple of rows and I'm done. I can't, and that's kind of where I've been the past couple of weeks. But hopefully I will be inspired and pick up some more spinning, because I have kind of been on a roll and I've really been enjoying it. So that is all I have to say this week. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you liked this episode, I'd love if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I hope all of you are enjoying your crafting and finding a lot of joy in it. I hope to see you again next week, and until then, I hope you have an awesome day. Bye!